Smart Chiropractor Show. It is April 19th, 2022, and today's Mindset Mentor, we're going to discuss Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It is a classic. If you have not read it, right after the show, not right now, be sure to head over to Amazon. We'll try to drop even a link below. Ensure you pick up this book. There are so many lessons that can be learned. Jason, this is something we've discussed many times. Your notes for this segment were extensive. What do docs out there need to know about Think and Grow Rich?
You know, this is one of those books that just sort of recently came back up into my life. I was talking to my son, who's in his second year of college. He said, I got a lot of free time this week, with finals and all that stuff. I said, well, did you know that one of my philosophies is that learning is earning? And one of the things I try to do is incentivize my children to learn by helping them earn when they do, just to try to make that connection. And one of the things I had said to him was, I said, I'll tell you what, if you've got a lot of extra time and you'd like to make a little extra money, if you'll read books, I'll pay you, because I think it's a good investment to get my kids reading good stuff. And of course, he said, well, what would you recommend? And my first book was one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich. This is one of those books. If you haven't heard about it, I'll explain in just a few moments the background. But this is one of those books I read early on that just inspired me. It sounded right, felt right. It was one of those philosophies of life that really resonated with me. And I don't know if you call it coincidence, irony, destiny, all of the above. But when I also learned about chiropractic and the concepts of chiropractic, about being connected to an infinite field, or as we call it, universal intelligence, as they call it, infinite intelligence. There were a lot of corollaries and crossovers about the philosophy of thinking and growing rich and the concept of us all being connected to a universal intelligence, innate intelligence, etc. Meaning there's more to it than just the physical, mechanistic mechanisms that create the universe. Well, I went back and I took a little bit of time to reread my favorite book so I could talk about it with my son, who hopefully decides to read it this week as he's on break and getting ready for his exams. And I just wanted to go through some thoughts that came up for me that I think might be valuable for you. Now, let me just create a little bit of context. This book was released in 1937 by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill was, I'll sort of say, commissioned or maybe challenged by Andrew Carnegie. You've heard of Carnegie Hall. You could look up the robber barons of decades past, basically the masters of the universe. There were a few names like Rockefeller and Carnegie and Vanderbilt and others that built America. Maybe some would say too far, but basically they had all the money at the time. They were the equivalent of today's tech barons, of which you can name. And Carnegie said, listen, Napoleon, if you're willing to take on this challenge, I will give you access to everybody I know worldwide if you will write the book. And the book was basically Napoleon Hill over the next 20 years interviewing the wealthiest, most successful, most accomplished people around the planet, 500 of the top minds of the time, and interview them and synthesize the common traits amongst all of those most successful people and turn it into this book. Now, most success books today in some ways are derivatives of, are descendants of this sort of first success book of its kind. But I highly recommend that you check it out. But let me get into a little bit of detail. I just want to give you the context of where it came from. This isn't just some guy who came up with a couple ideas. This is someone who was sponsored to research the science behind success by studying the most successful people on the planet that have ever lived. And they came up with 6 steps. All right, I'm going to read through the 6 steps, and then I'm going to get through kind of what's the takeaway for us here today, and what do we do with it. So step 1, fix in your mind exactly what you want. Okay, fix in your mind exactly what you want. Now, in the book, they go the exact amount of money you want, but I'm going to not make this about a dollar amount. It can apply to anything. Think and grow anything. Think and manifest. Okay, so number one is know exactly what you want. Number two, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for getting what you want. There is a philosophy that says you don't get something for nothing. If you want to receive something, you have to give something in return. So whatever it is you want, you've got to declare, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to give? What am I willing to invest my time, my energy, my money, my life into this project so that I can attract what it is that I want? Number three, establish a definitive date when you intend to possess what you desire. I want this, I'm willing to do that, and I'm going to manifest this by this date or time. Number four, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and put it into immediate action. I want this, I'm willing to do that, it's going to happen by then, and this is what I'm going to do, the specific plan to make that happen. Number five, write out a clear, concise statement of what you want, the time limit, when you're going to get it, what you intend to give, and in return for, and make it a statement. And number six is reading that written statement twice a day, in the morning when you wake up and in the evening before you go to sleep, because those are the times your mind is most auto-suggestible. This does relate into Joe Dispenza's work and many of the others who talk about manifesting, using your mind to, in fact, sort of become a magnet to attract what it is that you focus on. Now, I read all six of these and I said, okay, these are great, doable. Nothing here is impossible. In fact, it's so simple you overlook them. Like, it can't be that simple and easy. But what struck me was number one, fix in your mind exactly what you want. And that's really what I want to focus on here today, because I believe most chiropractors have lost their dream for their reality. Jeff and I are going to talk about this as time goes on, but in simple terms, we try to lay this concept out. Most chiropractors I know, including myself, including Jeff, decided to become a chiropractor, decided to quit whatever we were doing and go to chiropractic school, take on 4 years of time and energy to go to school to get a certificate that you can then start from scratch. You're delaying 4 years so you'd simply get your license to then start a business, let alone hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt in order to have that license, certificate, as some would call it, your ticket to ride. And I'm of the belief that most of us started with a dream and ended up with a business. Here's what I mean. I want to dig down a little bit closer into what this is all about. And this is going to be a common theme we're going to talk about in the days, weeks, months, and maybe even years to come, because it's one of the most important points. What I'm trying to say is that the first thing you're supposed to do, from the most powerful success book ever about being successful and manifesting your success, is know exactly what you want. And that's usually the place most of us fall down or stop, because if you've been in business for a little while, what I'm trying to say is you started off with a dream of a practice that would work with certain people, that would be in a certain place, that you can have the freedom to dream of the life and lifestyle and practice and service that you wanted. Most of us got that vision that inspired us to go to school. We got into practice. We realized how difficult it was to manifest our dream. And so we pivoted and turned our practice into a business. And what I mean by a business is that a business is designed to do one specific thing: maximize profitability. And this is the challenge. This is the rub. This is the kind of problem I think most people in our profession, most chiropractors, are suffering from. You started with a dream, you ended with a business. And if you were asked the question now, what's your dream? You've probably shifted your mind so much that your dream is to have greater numbers in your business. But as Simon Sinek says, and we've reviewed this in a previous book as well, that your business really is there to fund your dream, fund your ideal lifestyle, fund your mission, your purpose, the reason you chose to become a chiropractor. And what I'm saying is that if we've forgotten, if we've lost the forest through the trees, so to speak, if we're now so in the day-to-day operations, if we're so stressed because it's really all about making sure we meet our overhead and we cover our bills and we're able to handle all the financial aspects that are a reality of running a business, but we have sold out our dream, or our business has hijacked our dream from us, then we're already off base from the concept of think and grow rich. Because thinking and growing rich is about having a vision. It's about being creative. It's about getting back to that original purpose or reason or spark that said, I'm going to dedicate my life to becoming a chiropractor. That is not an easy choice to make. It's not a sort of pizza or burgers type decision. It was a big decision to make that investment of your life into making this choice and becoming what you're doing. And I do believe that most chiropractors have hijacked their dream for their business so that they can make enough money to survive and pay for the basics of their lifestyle. And my point in this segment today is to remind us that it's okay to get back to the dream, that we're going to lay out in the next several episodes. You're going to hear us talk about the payday practice. You're going to hear us talk about monthly recurring revenue and the process of getting back, not letting your business hijack your dream, but getting your dream back and figuring out how do you generate enough revenue in order to fund your dream, the purpose, the reason, the inspiration you decide to do what you wanted to do. And that's ultimately our goal for this show, this program, is to teach you how to get back to the bullseye, that inspiration, that spark, that thing that lights up your heart and your mind and your creative spirit, that reason you woke up for years going to chiropractic school with that vision that when I graduate, I will be able to fill in the blank. And I'm sure that answer wasn't just buy a big house, buy a nice car, wear nice clothes, and do things. There's a lot of better ways or easier ways to earn a good living than becoming a chiropractor. So my assumption is that you chose to become a chiropractor for more reasons than just making a good living. You chose to become a chiropractor to make a difference in people's lives while making a good living. And unfortunately, many chiropractors, I think the saying is that the tail is now wagging the dog. And that's really, I think, what we have to address here. Jeff, that was my sort of takeaway from the book. We've lost that think part of Think and Grow Rich. We've gotten to just the day-to-day tactics of how many new ones? What do we need to cover our overhead? Are we sure we're going to make payroll? What do I got to do to make sure I'm putting away enough money for my future and all the expenses? We've lost the dream. We've just gotten into the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month tactics of making sure that there's enough while oftentimes living under what I call chronic financial stress. Jeff, I laid out a lot there. I know we've been talking a lot about this. It's sort of the inspiration behind our soon-to-be launch and training of the payday practice. What did I leave out? What comes up for you? I know you've enjoyed the book as well. What are your thoughts?
I think you did a great job really breaking it down. The 6 practical steps, super important. Docs listening and watching, rewind if you this is the first time you're hearing it, or if it's even a refresh. This is just one of those books that, Jason, I give you credit to pull it off the shelf there, because it's a quintessential classic. When I think back at my own personal development journey, this is a book that is instrumental in it, and I'm not alone. It's probably to the tune of tens of, if not hundreds of millions of people around the world. So if you have not read it, it's like open source copywriting's gone at this point. So there's a million different versions essentially on Amazon for super cheap. You're spending $10. Books are just one of those things, as Jason said at the top, where the amount of value that you're receiving out of it, if you're open, is so exponential in comparison to the cost. The book was probably worth tens of thousands of dollars, yet it's under $10. You can pick it up. If you have it on your shelf, now is a good time to revisit it. As Jason said, we're going to be discussing a lot of concepts around the payday practice. And while we are practically implementing that for you in your chiropractic practice, hope to inspire you to take action as well, there's so many of these foundational elements that come back to mindset, which is why we start each and every Smart Chiropractor show with our Mindset Mentor segment. So my big takeaways, Jason, would be fantastic job speaking about the 6 practical steps. Docs, tune into that. Ensure that you are taking those action steps. As we say, results follow actions. And if this is a new conversation to you, right after this show, head over to Amazon, drive down to the bookstore, however you want to do it. For less than $10, this is a book that can set you on a new path. So well done, Jason. That is our Mindset Mentor segment. Docs, listening and watching, if you have some favorite books that have helped you with your personal development, drop them in the comments down below. Shoot us some messages, Jeff or Jason at thesmartchiropractor.com. We'll be happy to read them if we haven't yet, or highlight them if we have some insights from what we've gleaned over our time. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to The Smart Chiropractor. We are posting videos on how you can market your chiropractic practice in a way that teach and invites consistently. We have found that is the magic formula to big time growth. So if you like this video, be sure to comment down below, smash that subscribe button, or visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.